AI is changing the world of search right before our eyes, and Google is working on a brand new type of search called SGE, or Search Generative Experience. We at Exposure Ninja have been one of the first agencies in the world to work out how to rank in this brand new search engine, and we ran a live webinar with Semrush where we broke down for attendees exactly how to do it. We show some case studies of before and afters, and we explain the exact process that you can use to get your website ranking in this brand new search engine. This is a huge land grab opportunity for businesses to get their pages ranking, sometimes even against really well-established competitors that have previously been outranking them. So it's a very exciting thing. Enjoy the live webinar. We wanted to share it with you, our Exposure Ninja audience as well. And don't forget, if you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments. We'll do our best to answer them. Enjoy. Today, we're going to be talking about SEO for AI search, and in particular, Google's brand new generative AI search engine, SGE, which stands for Search Generative Experience. This is quite a profound shift in digital marketing and search specifically, and not a lot of people even know that this thing exists. We're expecting it to be launched by Google in the coming months. And we not only know it exists, we've been testing it for most of this year, and we figured out how to rank in it. So as far as we know, this information hasn't been shared by any other agencies or marketers so far. So this is a real sort of a world exclusive, and we're delighted to be sharing this stuff with Semrush. I've been using Semrush during a lot of the research and the analysis of how we've identified the ranking strategies here, and it's been a fantastic tool. So very honored to be working with Semrush on this. Like I say, if you've got any questions at any point, please do drop them in the chat. I've got a little window here where I can see them, and I'll either answer them as we go, or if there's any questions that we haven't been, if I haven't got to them, we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. We're going to be talking firstly about what SGE actually is. So if you don't know what it is, then we're going to be doing a bit of an overview. Then I'm going to show you some case studies, so some before and afters of getting web pages ranking in this brand new type of search, and breaking down exactly what strategies you need to do to get those rankings. At the end, I'm also then going to show you an approach that you can use to identify opportunities to pick up SGE ranking. So this is going to be fantastically useful if you're an agency or you're an in-house marketer and you want to be able to get your website ranking in this brand new search when most people don't even know that this thing exists yet. Anyway, let's get started. So firstly, I'm going to just quickly introduce myself for those who don't know me. So my name is Tim. I founded a digital marketing agency called Exposure Ninja about 10 years ago. I actually started as a professional drummer. I was playing drums and I was promoting my drumming services online and taught myself SEO. This was way back in 2007. So I taught myself the basics of SEO. I then ended up building a website for my next door neighbor who was a plasterer, a tradesperson. And this website did really well for him. He got a lot of business from this when I got it to the top of Google. And it completely changed his life. He ended up having loads of work. He got commercial projects, big domestic projects, even some TV work off the back of this website. And I thought, this is crazy. I built this tiny rubbish WordPress website for him, hacked my way to the top of Google, and it had this huge impact on him. So I ended up building a load of other websites for different trades, a few dozen of these over the next year or so. And then I wrote a book about the process that I was using. That book is called How to Get to the Top of Google. And that book did rather well, sold quite a lot on Amazon. And it meant that lots of businesses were contacting me asking for help getting their websites to the top of Google. So on the back of that, I built an agency called Exposure Ninja. And fast forward, we've grown to a team of 100. We work across SEO, content marketing, pay-per-click, build websites, do conversion rate optimization, and email marketing. I've just recently handed over the CEO role to someone else in the company, and my job now is to go and buy other agencies. So as a side note, if you've got an agency that's doing more than 2 million in revenue, come and find me on LinkedIn and we can chat. But I'm not here to talk about Exposure Ninja. I'm here to talk about SGE. We share everything that we learn in our books, including How to Get to the Top of Google, which is the SEO book, and on our YouTube channel as well. So both Exposure Ninja and Semrush have fantastic YouTube channels. If you haven't checked them out already, then please do go and check them out. Okay, we're going to do a quick survey though. So what I want to do is just ask in the chat. I'm just going to drop a poll in the chat and let's see if it works. Just want to know, have you heard of SGE? If you have heard of it, have you used it? And if you haven't, then let me know in the poll as well. So you should see a little poll in the chat window somewhere. We've been doing a whole bunch of in-person seminars over the last month or so, and we've probably spoken to about 700 people in person. And we reckon about maybe 1% of agencies and digital marketers have even heard of SGE, let alone have played with it. So far we got about 50% of people who haven't heard of it. We've got 16% have heard and have used it. Oh, the numbers are changing. Yeah, all right. So a lot of people haven't heard of it, or they've heard of it but haven't used it. That's great. Super interesting. Okay, cool. Well, that's great. We're going to be doing a bit of a summary of what SGE is. So if you haven't heard of it, that's fine. I'm going to cover that. If you have heard of it, I'm going to show you how to rank for it, which you probably haven't seen before. Good stuff. Keep dropping your questions in. I think I'm probably not going to be able to keep up with them as we go, but we've got some time for Q&A at the end. Like I said, this is a really profound shift in SEO. This is the biggest change to Google that I've seen. I first started running Google Ads in 2006. So I've been optimizing and promoting on Google for about 18 years. This is the biggest change in Google that I've seen during that time. And it's a fundamental shift in how we're going to be, as marketers, how we're going to be working with Google as well. So let's take a look at exactly what SGE looks like. This is what a Google search results page looks like today. It'll be familiar to all of us, of course. This is a fairly informational search term. We can tell it's an informational search term because we've got this featured snippet up at the top. So the featured snippet is a piece of text that's taken from the website, and you can see that website is linked underneath. So a searcher can click on the website, go to the website if they want more info. Pretty straightforward. We're all familiar with this. This search also has a People Also Ask section, or PAA. You can click the little drop downs. As you know, you'll see a piece of text in each of them answering the question with a link to the website that information is taken from. Then we've got the regular organic results underneath, and then we've got images. There's other search furniture, stuff that you'll see like shopping listings, or local listings, or movie times, or weather, or whatever. But fundamentally, the goal of a Google search results page is to list websites that have the best information. And then all of us try to optimize our website so that we get the searcher clicking on our website rather than anybody else. That is the game. Hopefully, all pretty straightforward. SGE looks completely different to this. So this is the same search, but done using SGE, or Search Generative Experience. This is Google's new AI search engine. So how this works is quite different. Over on the left here, you can see that there is this AI-generated information. So this has come from Google's large language model. And Google is trying to answer the searcher's query right there in the page. We do have some websites being linked over here in what we're calling the carousel section. And these websites have a little featured image, and they've got their title, and they've got a link to the site with the little favicon as well. You can then ask follow-up questions down here. So think about the world of SEO and how this changes things. All those organic listings that we've been working so hard to optimize for, where are they? Well, they're still here, but they're now pushed further down the page. Look at this. There are no regular 10 blue links visible above the fold. It is just Google's AI search. So this is quite profound, and obviously it might have a fairly significant impact on website traffic. This is what SGE looks like for an informational search, but SGE also exists for even branded searches as well. So here's an example. This is a search for what is Exposure Ninja. So this is a branded search that currently we would expect Google to show our website, which it does in the regular organic results here. It would show the business listing here. But then you've got this big generative AI section up at the top here, which pushes everything else down. It includes information that's taken from around the internet. It shows images pulled from the Google business page. It shows some reviews as well. We've got this carousel list of websites up at the top here. Now, 3 websites are visible by default. If you scroll to the right, you can see more, up to about 9, I think, is the most we've seen. Then, if you click the little drop-down links under any of these paragraphs, you will see websites that corroborate the information in that paragraph. So this is obviously another way to get your site featured. But fundamentally, as you can see here, we are going from Google serving websites to Google serving answers. Now you can see there, we clicked and you can ask follow-up questions to SGE. So you can actually have a conversation with Google. So this person has typed on, or they've tapped on Exposure Ninja reviews, and they've then seen another SGE answer, which takes information from all the review sites and shares information and sort of aggregate information about Exposure Ninja from all the reviews that it's found online. So pretty profound. As we can see, this is a very different model. This is a very different type of search. And fundamentally, it changes Google's goal. Google's goal has historically been show websites that contain the best information. The goal has changed to actually just answer the searcher's query inside the search results. And you can say, yes, but Google has been sort of moving in this direction with featured snippets. But the difference is a featured snippet is clearly attributed to one particular website, whereas SGE, this is a sort of aggregated information. And yes, there are some links, but this is, it's a very different proposition. So what sort of impact is this going to have on traffic? This is something that we don't yet know. This is in testing phase at the moment. So it's in Google Labs. You have to be signed up for Labs in order to even use SGE. You also have to be in the US. So I'm using a US VPN to do this because I'm from the UK. And you have to be using a Google browser like Chrome. So at the moment, this isn't available to everyone. We also don't have any data from Google about what this is going to do to the amount of organic traffic that is coming through to our website. But some agencies and some people have started trying to project the impact of SGE on traffic. And one firm in particular, Agile SEO, published this fantastic study where they tried to work out what sort of organic traffic impact SGE would have on different websites. And they run a bunch of scenarios. They had to make some assumptions because remember, there is no exact data on this stuff yet. But they mapped 4 different scenarios. In their best case scenario, average organic traffic drop was 18%. Worst case scenario, 64%. Pretty huge drops in organic traffic, right? Now, a couple of things to say on this. First, I actually think their assumptions were a little bit pessimistic. I don't think the impact is going to be this severe, maybe half this. The second thing to say is that although the average website saw a drop, actually there were some websites that ranked well in SGE, which actually saw traffic increases. So this isn't universally bad news. If we optimize for SGE and we get to know it and we become familiar with it, actually this could be pretty good news for us. So nevertheless, what do we think the impact is going to be? Well, we think that the main impacts are going to be in some key areas. Firstly, a drop in informational organic traffic. So someone's asked, do you think SGE overviews will appear for all sectors and queries eventually? Very possibly, yes. I think that's the direction that Google sees this. For the time being, you'll particularly notice SGE queries showing, SGE results showing for how, where, and why questions. So informational searches, basically. SGE will also show answers for things like, best backpack for kids as well. It'll happily recommend products and local. But informational organic traffic where people are looking for an answer, we think is going to be hit particularly hard because the answer is actually just given in the search results. Google's also leaning towards more of a customer's research happening actually on Google. So if you think about, let's say, for example, you're ready to buy a new phone and you start the research phase. Now, at the moment, you might search for, best camera phones. And then you might start to narrow your search down. And then you might be like, oh, okay, let's do Android versus iPhone. And then, okay, I'm going to go iPhone. Let's go best iPhones 2023. And then you're trying to decide between 15 Pro Max and 15 Pro. And you're running like 15 Pro Max reviews. There's a load of queries that happen along that journey. And in each query, you might be visiting 3, 5, 10 different websites getting answers. So let's say that there are 10 searches that you carry out along your journey and you visit 3 websites for each search. So that'll be 30 website visits in total. Well, what SGE wants to do is keep all of that research actually in the search results. So those 30 website visits might shrink right down. They might end up with, someone visiting SGE, having this conversation with SGE, and then maybe visiting a site to purchase, and that could be it. So we're looking at a future where potentially more of a customer's research is happening on Google. We're also expecting fewer top of funnel visitors because those informational queries tend to be right at the top of the funnel. So for example, if you're in the world of affiliates or you're trying to generate leads through an email capture, so you can get people into a sequence, well, that might be impacted by this too. This will give a lot of brands and businesses doubts over their content strategy. Someone said, is there even any point producing content if Google's just going to be answering the query, eating all the traffic, stealing all of my information? So this will give some businesses doubts over their content strategy. And overall, there's just going to be a huge amount of fear. Good news, right? We've all had a pretty chill couple of years, so it's nice for something to come and shake us up. Now, some people are saying, well, yep, Google is testing SGE, sure, but it's still flawed at the moment. It's still in labs. They haven't announced a rollout for it. Maybe, fingers crossed, maybe this thing is just going to go away, leave us alone, and we can get on with our lives. I think that's a dangerous hope. Here's what Google CEO Sundar Pichai said in their Q2 earnings call. Over time, this will be just how search works. We are building the next major revolution in search. If you go back and listen to these earnings calls, the Q2 and Q3 earnings calls, which have happened already, you will notice that Google is incredibly bullish on SGE. They are very, very pro SGE. They're saying that the data they're getting back from users is really good. They think that this is a future. This is how they compete with ChatGPT in search. They're really, really pro SGE. And interestingly, we know that Google will lie to the SEO community. They've been doing it for years. We know that Google will lie to its customers. We know that Google will even lie to regulators. But Google cannot lie to its investors. And I think it's particularly key that what they're saying in the investor calls is, that they're so pro SGE that I think it's very dangerous to assume that they're going to roll this out. This, to me, looks like something that they're planning to roll out imminently. And if you've been following the updates with Gemini, this is only going to get better when it's powered by Gemini as well. Now, the other thing that a lot of people say around this sort of time is, I cannot keep up with this. I think that SEO is dead. There's no way that we're all going to be able to keep up with this. Google has finally figured it out. We're all our powers and our tricks and tactics are useless now. Google has surpassed all of us and it's pointless. We may as well just shovel all our cash into Google Ads instead. People have been saying this for years, right? I learned Google Ads from a guy called Chris Cardell way back in 2006. And I received an email from Chris Cardell one day saying, SEO is dead. I was like, dude, don't tell me this. I've been spending all my time learning about SEO and optimizing websites and writing this book about SEO. Don't tell me SEO is dead. Well, the thing is, Chris said this in 2011. And every year or couple of years, people say that SEO is dead. They said it was dead when Google Panda and Penguin came out. They said it was dead when Medic came out. Now it's all about authorship and EAT. We won't be able to game the system. They said that it was dead with Helpful Content Update. And now they're saying it's dead because of SGE. The thing is, as long as there is a search, there will be search engine optimization. We said that in the first edition of How to Get to the Top of Google way back in 2013, and it's as true today as it's ever been. Our goal as SEOs is basically to take information out of a business and share it online in a way that makes Google or whatever search engine we're optimizing for want to rank that website high. That's our goal. Get websites and businesses found by sharing the information those businesses have inside them. This is just a different type of search engine, but there are ranking factors, there are going to be winners, and there are going to be losers. So it's up to us to decide which of those categories we want to be in. Now, the good news is that we think there are 4 ways to win in SGE. The first way, obviously, is to get listed in that carousel, right? Those websites at the side of the page. This is one of our clients, Jess. You can see that they are listed here. So above the fold, we've got 3 websites that you can see. So it stands to reason that the majority of the clicks on this page are going to go to one of those 3. So that's where you want to be seen. The second way to win is those little drop downs under each paragraph that allow you to see websites that support that part of the answer. That's the second way to win, is to get ranked in those. And we're going to talk about these in a bit today. The third way to win is slightly more advanced. And let me just explain with this particular search. So this search is what is CAS accreditation UK? Now, CAS is a sort of construction scheme accreditation, stands for Common Assessment Standard, and it's a sort of a generic accreditation that construction firms can get. CHAS is our client. They offer a proprietary accreditation as well as offering CAS. Now, because we've done so much content marketing for CHAS about CAS, following me? Then when you search for what is CAS accreditation, SGE says, do you mean CHAS accreditation? So think about what's happened here. Somebody has searched for a generic accreditation and they've been suggested to research, but for a branded accreditation. So this is a little bit like, somebody searches for best vacuum cleaner and SGE says, do you mean Dyson? So there's an opportunity here to influence the SG's understanding of the world in order to get it to recommend your business. And then the fourth way of winning is SGE will sometimes just recommend businesses. So if you say, who are the best accreditation providers, for example, it's going to give you a list. Or if you say, who are the best corporate litigation lawyers in New York, it's going to give you a list. So you can actually get SGE to recommend your business as well. There is another way to win using SGE, and that is going to be pay-per-click. We don't actually know what Google's paid search product is going to look like when it's integrated with SGE, but PPC is $162 billion a year revenue stream for Google. So it's unlikely that they're going to launch SGE without some sort of paid search offering as well. So 4 ways organically to win, and a 5th way using paid to win. So this is the war, this is the battleground that we will be playing on as marketers. The good news is that we do have some tools at our disposal. The big question, of course, the big reason that we're all here is, can we influence SGE? And I use the word influence there because Google doesn't like it when people use phrases like hack, game, or manipulate. But basically, can we encourage SGE to show the websites for our companies and our clients? Well, yes, we can. So what I'm going to do is show you some case studies before and after. Now, for a lot of these case studies, I've actually used the Exposure Ninja website because we have unlimited access. We don't need to get clients to sign off on this or anything. And I can log in, make some changes, hit live, submit through Search Console, boom, we can test this thing. So I'm going to show you some examples for Exposure Ninja. I'm also going to show you an example for clients as well. We've started rolling this out to all of our clients too and had exactly the same level of success. So here's an example of a before. In this before this search, what is a page title? Exposure Ninja didn't have any SGE ranking at all, so we weren't listed anywhere here. We had no carousel visibility. We didn't have any of the drop downs either. We also didn't have featured snippet. That belongs to another website. Interestingly, you'll see if you've got a BDI, you'll see that the website that does have a featured snippet isn't listed in the carousel section here, and that is not uncommon. Okay, so they're winning big here, but they're not winning at all here. We didn't have a featured snippet either. We were ranking position 8 in the regular organic search results. But we spent a lot of time analyzing SGE and figuring out exactly how to get ranking in it, and we made some changes to some of our pages, and we were able to pick up SGE ranking, position 1 in the SGE carousel, and linked throughout the SGE answer. So there's the position 1 in the carousel, and there's some of the links throughout the answer. By the way, we were able to do this within 12 hours. So that's one of the things about SGE, is that it re-indexes incredibly quickly. The good news is also that the optimizations and the changes that we made to the page work really well for Bing Chat, which is obviously Bing's AI-powered search engine. So it's Bing plus ChatGPT. That's their version of SGE. This works, the same strategy works incredibly well there. So when we did this, when we made the changes, which I'm going to show you in a second, to the pages on our website, we also got some great visibility in Bing Chat. We were featured number 1 in Bing Chat and referenced in 6 out of the 7 links in the Bing Chat answer. Now, those links work slightly differently to SGE's links, but we can talk about that at the end if we have enough time. So next example here, this one is for the phrase sponsored tag. And again, we had no SGE ranking at all for this. Now, we did actually have position 1 organic with a featured snippet. In this screenshot, you can't see the featured snippet for some reason, but normally we'd have a featured snippet for this. So we're ranking position 1, but no ranking in SGE. And again, this is not uncommon. Just because you're ranking well in the regular organic results doesn't mean that you're going to rank well in SGE. And this will be the type of search that is sort of a worst nightmare scenario where you've got some visibility at the moment, you're picking up traffic, SGE comes along, you're nowhere to be seen in SGE. You're going to lose, a decent portion of that traffic to SGE, and you don't have any visibility. So this is like a worst case scenario where you've worked hard to rank for something, and then basically that ranking is gone because the new model doesn't reward you in the same way. But the good news is you can make some changes. So after, what we're able to do is pick up SGE carousel ranking and link throughout the SGE answer. In this screenshot, it's position 2 in SGE, actually position 1 now in SGE after rewriting the content again. And we're linked throughout the SGE answer as well. And again, this happened in like a day, 12 hours. That's the thing with SGE. You make the changes, you submit via Search Console, and usually you'll pick up, if you're going to rank, you'll pick up that ranking usually within a day. How do we exactly do this? Well, what I noticed, in fact, let me just quickly show you an example. I'm going to go a little bit off piste here, and we're going to go and do a live example. So let's just do that search. So what I noticed with SGE is that when you click on these links, look what happens. So you'll notice that there's a hash in the URL, and that hash has a bit of information. This seems to be guiding the page as to which bit of the page to highlight. So this section here is then highlighted in purple, and this is obviously the content that Google is using in the SGE answer, is sort of highlighting to the user as backing up the information given in SGE. So what we did is we reverse engineered this. Now, when this page was originally published, this paragraph didn't exist. Okay, this paragraph didn't exist. Instead, it started about here. So what we did is said, okay, well, if Google is rewarding these pages with this content that summarizes the SGE answer, what if we added a summary paragraph at the top of the page, which basically looked at the information given in the SGE answer and essentially rewrote it with a bit of extra context in nice short sentence structure with simple language? Because I also noticed that the links, that the paragraphs that SGE linked to tended to have very, very short, straightforward, simple sentences. So one concept per sentence, not too many complex sentence structures, very, very straightforward, very simple. And lo and behold, it absolutely worked. So the key to SGE ranking seems to be adding, once you've got the page ranking on regular organic search, adding this summary paragraph at the top of the page, written in very simple sentences, exactly matching the question. So sponsored tag is the phrase that we're targeting. So there's an exact match there. And backing up the information given in the SGE answer, right? The other sort of distinction that you want to make is usually the websites that corroborate the first paragraph tend to be the ones, so you see we've got this link here, that tends to influence the order of the websites listed here. So it's not really much good being linked right at the end of the carousel because the chances of someone actually finding you are relatively slim. Whereas if you're linked at the start of the carousel, you've got a much more chance of getting the click. And in order to be at the start of the carousel, ideally you need to be linked throughout the answer, but definitely at the start of the answer. So the first couple of paragraphs seems to be the way to go. So that's what we did. And we did this across a number of pages, and we found that it worked incredibly well. The other thing that you have to do is force reindexing through Google Search Console. So it's not enough to just make this change and hope that it works. You then have to go into Google Search Console and submit your URL. You know how you would do. You just log into Search Console, put your URL in, click, whatever that, I can't remember what the word is, crawl or something. And then it says, great news, this page is already in the index, and then you can force reindexing. You need to do that. Once you do that, you'll typically get if you're going to see any improvement, you'll get that improvement within sort of 5 to 12 hours usually. Okay. So yeah, in this particular case, we got ranking in the SGE carousel within 5 hours of submitting through Search Console. So another example, at Exposure Ninja, we do some teardowns of marketing campaigns for companies like Shein. And this is one for Shein marketing strategy, which again, we had no SG ranking for at all. We're able to pick up SG ranking, position 1 in the carousel, and twice throughout the answer 2, just by using the same strategy. Now, this requires a slightly different approach with your blog post. In fact, let me just show you the example with the Shein post. So if we go for Shein marketing strategy, you notice we had the featured snippet. We didn't have the featured snippet before, but regular organic results also seem to like this type of strategy. So what we did is we added this entire section at the top here. Now, when we first wrote this blog post, this post started at this point here. So it started in a fairly normal way that you would start a blog post with a bit of background information about the company and all that type of stuff. And hey, here's the history of it, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what SGE wants. SGE wants rapid, snackable, easy to understand content. So we added this stuff here. Now, when we first made this change, we actually didn't get the ranking in SGE. So I went back in and I rewrote it to more closely match the answer that SGE was already giving, and that was enough to get it ranking. Okay, let's keep going. We've also done this for clients. So here's an example where we've gone from a client that's got 0 visibility in SGE to having ranking in SGE in less than a day. So this was less than 24 hours. This is an example, best seed to grow grass, boom. Position 1, best fungicides for lawns, boom. So we're now rolling this out to clients and just showing them that, hey, we can get this ranking for you. It's okay. You don't need to panic about this new search that's going to screw everyone up. The other question that I had, though, is can we change SG's answers? So it's great, you know, we can get some visibility, but can we actually change? Can we influence SG's answers? Because there are times where, let's say you ask a branded search and SG actually gets the answer wrong. Well, that's not much good. You want to be able to make sure that SG is actually giving the right information about your business or your client. So can we actually directly change SGE? The answer is yes. Here's an example. So this search is, you know, it's getting late, it's getting cold. I like nothing on a dark, lonely night more than just Googling myself. So this search is, how many books has Tim Cameron Kitchen written? Now, SGE said 5. And it was taking this answer from a range of high authority websites like Amazon, Goodreads, Thrift Books, Audible, right? So it's taking that answer from high authority sites. But this answer was pretty rubbish. This SG answer was pretty rubbish. Firstly, 5 is wrong. There's actually 2 more secret, terrible books that nobody really knows about. Secondly, it lists the same book 3 times. How to get to the top of Google, how to get to the top of Google 2021, how to get to the top of Google 2020. So it's wrong and it's repetitive. So the question is, could we change SG's answer? The answer is yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. So, and I was able to change it within 5 hours as well. How did we do this? Well, I actually noticed when searching in Bing for this answer that Bing said something like, according to Amazon, Tim's written 5 books, but according to the author's own website, he's written whatever. And I thought that's interesting. So Bing, which is a vastly inferior search engine to Google, I think we'd all agree with that, knew that my own personal website belonged to the author. Now, my own personal website is rubbish. I don't put any time or energy into it at all. I don't promote it. It's got rubbish domain authority. There's no links, no promotion on it at all. It just sits there old and out of date. But Bing somehow knew that that website belonged to me, so had some sort of topical authority on this subject. So I thought, that's interesting. Maybe what we could do is publish a blog post on my website which just seeks to directly answer this question. So I did exactly that. I wrote a blog post, called How Many Books Has Tim Cameron Kitchen Written? This blog post sucks. This is a really horrible, short, terrible blog post. There's no links to it. There's no other information. It's just literally what you can see there. It's no longer than that. It just says, I've written 7 books. They include 5 marketing books, 2 lesser-known books about drumming and career planning, and then it lists the books. That's it. Now, Google SGE somehow indexed this. Well, it indexed it because I submitted it through Search Console, but it indexed this and allowed this information to influence the SG answer all within 5 hours. which gives us a clue as to how SGE works. I'm not going to go into that now. I'll go into that in the Q&A if people are interested. But there's a fundamental difference here, surprise, surprise, between how Google tells us SGE is working and how it's actually working, right? Again, it's a bit of a tangent, so I'll go into it later if people are interested in that type of stuff. Just let me know in the comments if you are. But I thought that's kind of interesting, right? It's kind of interesting that we can actually influence the answer just by writing these short, what we're calling exact match blogs, EMBs, that are just there to directly answer the searcher's question. And SG as a whole seems to prioritize high relevance over high authority, because Amazon, Goodreads, Audible, Thrift Books, these are high authority sites on this topic, but Google changed its answer because it had a post which exactly matched the topic. Okay, so how do you get SGE rankings? Well, basically it helps to have a page that's already ranking first. It's much easier to rank in SGE if you're already ranking, say, 1 to 50 in regular organic search. So the exact factors to get that visibility in the first place are going to depend on you versus your competitors, where you're stronger, where you're weakest. But it's basically all of the same sort of SEO stuff that you're used to hearing. So of course, you've got the on-page copy adjustments that we've been talking about. That summary paragraph right at the top, which answers the query, matches the information in SGE, uses very simple, very straightforward sentences. With high readability score, you can use a readability checker and corroborates the information in the start of the SGE answer. And then you've got all of the other things that you might need to do. So you may need to create a new page to target that search term. Of course, you're going to need to build links to your site and the pages in general if you want to make them authoritative for high competition phrases. Then you've got all the on-site SEO, which you need to do as part of just standard SEO to get that page ranking in the first place. Your metas, your schemas, all that type of stuff as well. Okay, does this all make sense? Are we broadly sort of enjoying this? Let me know in the chat. Oh, there's a lot of questions to go through. Great stuff. Okay, what I'm going to do now is take you through a sort of a live process that you can use to actually find opportunities for how to rank on your website. And we're going to use Semrush for this because Semrush is by far my favorite tool for this type of thing. And by the way, if you don't have you need a paid account for Semrush for this ideally, because you're going to need to see beyond the first 10 organic results. So if you don't already have a paid Semrush account, the good news is you can get a free trial of Semrush. If you go to thankyouninjas.com, then it's going to, you can get a free trial of 14 days of a Semrush Pro account, which is awesome. Let me just log out whoever's using this, and that's going to allow you in. So go to thankyouninjas.com, and it's going to take you here. You can click to try it free, and you can get access, and you can play with this to your heart's content. But you do need a Pro account so you can see the good number of search results. Now, the demo that we're going to do is for this website here, Hassan Law Offices. No affiliation to me, no affiliation to Semrush at all. This is a New Jersey-based solicitors firm, and we're just going to use them as a sort of a demo. So imagine that you're either the marketing manager for this business or they are a client of yours. This is how I go about finding good opportunities for ranking in SGE. So the first thing you do, you stick it into Semrush and you get this. Now, they're a US firm, so we're going to check the US filter. There's loads of great data that you can use for all sorts of things here. The bit that we're most interested in here, though, is the top organic keywords section. So we're just going to click on View Details. If you're not familiar with how Semrush works, let me just talk you through the sort of basics of what we've got going on here. So we've got the different keywords that the site is ranking for. We've also got their current position on Google as well. So position 1, obviously top of Google. We can see that this search term also has a featured snippet. That's the little crown icon. Then we can see how much traffic it's expected to get from that particular search. This is going to vary quite a lot. It's not as accurate at lower search volumes. We can see the number of times this phrase is searched per month. And we can see the page that is ranking for this term. Now, what we really want to do here is we want to identify the pages that are ranking, say, first page and a half of Google. So positions, say, 1 to 15 or 1 to 20. What we're then going to do is go and check on Google to see if this search is bringing up an SGE result. And if it is our client, is this business actually ranking? So let's take this search term here, no fault car accident, New Jersey. So they're currently ranking position 1 with a featured snippet. Let's go over to Google and see if no fault car accident, New Jersey. Let's just see. I think that's the right term, isn't it? No fault car accident, New Jersey. Let's just see if they're ranking. So we can see they've got number 1. They've got the featured snippet here. We can also see that there's an SGE answer for this. Now, at the moment, they are not in these 3 carousel positions. So this is one of those searches where they have the most to lose, okay? They would, at the moment, they'll be picking up lots of traffic for this. They'll probably be picking up, I don't know, 30% of the clicks on this page, potentially. With SGE, that number might drop down quite a lot. So if I'm their SEO, I need to get this page or I need to get this website ranking. Now, they might be further along in the search results. No, at the moment, it doesn't look like they're anywhere in this carousel at all. So now we need to figure out what we need to do to get this page ranking. And it's relatively simple. What we do is we click on the page that is ranking. So let's just have a look at this. And we need to understand how closely does this page match this search term. So look at the phrase which is highlighted for the featured snippet. The phrase that's highlighted for the featured snippet is the definition of no fault law. All right, the definition of no fault law. Well, this is kind of different, right? SG is really talking about the fact that New Jersey is a no fault car accident state, and it explains exactly what it means for a car accident. So what I would be tempted to do is firstly maybe change the angle on this page. So at the moment it's understanding New Jersey no fault laws. So I might change the focus of this page to be about no fault car accidents in New Jersey. Or if I didn't want to do that, I might create a separate page which was purely about this topic. Then what I would do is, because SGE has decided that this paragraph maybe isn't as relevant for SGE's answer, I would add a new paragraph at the start which basically summarized the key information at each point in the SGE answer. So I'd definitely get some text around this. I would definitely get some more explanation about the specific experience that the client, had in this area. And I'd also seek to cover as many of these other topics as well in very simple, plain language, right at the top of the page, short sentences, nice high readability score. And by doing that, I would then better optimize this page for SGE. I'd then submit it through Search Console, wait 12 hours, see if I was ranking. If not, I'd go back, rewrite that stuff, and just keep going until I picked up that visibility. But yeah, I mean, that's a prime example where they have the most to lose, right? And there are other search terms in here as well. So wrongful death lawyer, Jersey City, that's going to be a very high commercial intent phrase. So that's another one where they'd really, really want to optimize that page for. A lot of these are going to be picking up SG rankings. Some of these actually might not, because they are, let's say, wrongful death lawyer, Jersey City. That's probably a little bit too much your money or your life. You might not see an SG result for that. But some of these others, like eggshell skull rule, which sounds pretty gruesome, that's going to be a prime SGE candidate, and they're ranking position 1 with featured snippet at the moment, but who knows what's going to happen with SGE. So that'll be another one that I'd look at optimizing for. Hopefully that makes sense. Someone's said, if we don't have advanced access to testing environments, how can we prepare for it? Okay, so in order to get access to SGE, all you need to do is just go to Google Search Labs. So I'm using a US VPN. So just I'm using a US search VPN. I just click on United States, and now I'm appearing to be in the US. This is actually using Safari, so it's not going to work. But when you click on this, you will see. Oh, there we go. Oh, you also have to be logged into a personal Google Workspace account as the other thing as well. So actually, just let me show you on a personal account. So let's just go for Google Search Labs. So you need to be using a personal Google account. You need to be logged in. Sometimes, you notice here, I'm in an incognito browser. Sometimes if you're just in default Google Chrome, it doesn't seem to work. You have to be incognito, but still logged in to the account that you've got Google Search. And then you should be able to use it and try it out. But you have to be using a Google browser, using a personal login. You have to be inside Search Labs, and you sometimes need to use an incognito browser window signed in. Hopefully all that makes sense. It is a little bit messy, but you will get there. Okay. Let's talk about what you do now with this. There's three sort of approaches that we've noticed people take with all this information. The first is they go, right, this is absolutely sick. I have to optimize everything for SGE, dropping everything else. I'm going all in on this. They then work through rankings. They work through every page on their site trying to get SGE rankings. The danger is, whilst I know I can understand why people might want to do this in case Google just decides to launch SGE with no sort of announcement after Christmas, the danger with this is that Google changes how SGE works and you end up having to go and redo work, okay? So this is a very aggressive way. This is probably the way to sleep best over Christmas, knowing that, you know, your page is already ranking for SGE, so if Google does press the button, you're all good. But actually, I don't think it's necessary to go as all in as this. The other approach, which I also wouldn't recommend, is just, you know, headphones on. I'm going to pretend I didn't see any of this. I've had a stressful year. Just go away, Google. Leave us alone. I'm going to hope that this doesn't happen. This is, you know, we've all got those friends that when they see a warning light in their car, they just like tape over it, right? Not generally a good idea. When I started Exposure Ninja, a lot of the work that I was doing was helping businesses that have been absolutely decimated by Penguin and Panda, otherwise known as Penguin. And they ignored the warning signs, and then one day, in some cases, the entire business was wiped out overnight. If they were affiliate driven or, you know, they worked on ads, their traffic just disappeared. So I don't think ignoring this is the right approach either. The approach that we're taking with our clients is the third one, which is making sure that, firstly, make sure that your agency or SEO person understands SGE. If you're a client, by the way, and you're working with an SEO agency that hasn't been telling you about SGE and doesn't even know that this thing exists, I might have some questions for them, right? I might have some questions, and I might be tempted to request a free website and marketing review from the team here at Exposure Ninja so that we can make sure you get ready. You can just go to exposure.ninja/SGE for that, and we can give you some free help to get to grips with this. But what we're doing with clients is we're experimenting to see which searches bring up SGE. So we're spending some time having a look at their particular industry, seeing, okay, does this bring up SGE by default? Does this bring up a button so you can generate the SGE answer? Or is there no SGE answer for this query? We're just sort of understanding the lay of the land. We're then optimizing some of the key pages on their site to rank in SGE. That then gives us the confidence that we know for this particular client, we know exactly what changes we need to make so that when Google announces a timeline on SGE, we are fully prepared, we are fully ready and very confident that we can adapt to this. Okay, great. So we're going to break for some questions in just a second. Before we do, though, like I said, Exposure Ninja can offer you some free help. Firstly, get a free trial of Semrush if you haven't already. This is going to be your best friend as you're doing this analysis. So you can go to thankyoninjas.com to request that. Secondly, the team here at Exposure Ninja, we actually have an SGE review service where if you want to see where your website is ranking with SGE, then you can just go to exposure.ninja/SGE. There's a short form that you can fill in. Then one of our team will manually analyze your website. We can run some SGE searches, see how you're ranking, and then give you some personalized feedback on how to improve your visibility there. So this review covers not only SGE, this is one tiny aspect of the review. The review also covers conversion rate optimization, SEO more generally, content marketing, paid search, and email marketing. It's completely free of charge. And we record you a 15-minute video, which we send to you usually within 3 to 4 working days, which gives you all of this information that you can then run yourself, or you can work with an agency. So go to, that link's actually wrong, go to exposure.ninja/SGE to request that free review. It's completely free, and then you can go and make those changes yourself with your agency or with us. We're incredibly busy at the moment, so we're having to prioritize businesses that are doing over 500K in revenue. I'm really sorry for that. We've just been flooded with about 300 requests in the last week, and there's like 3 people working full-time on it. So yeah, needs must. But everyone who requests a free review, we will also send you an SGE checklist that you can use to manually sort of go through and make sure that you're on the right side of this as well. So even if you don't get the review, fill in the form anyway, and we'll send you the checklist, and we'll send you, we also work with some partner agencies that can also do your review. So go to exposure.ninja/SGE to request your review now. Okay, perfect. So we've got some time for questions. I can see a whole bunch of questions, so I'm going to get through as many as I possibly can. But do feel free to dump your questions in, and I will run through them. So okay, wow, we have we have loads here. So I've used a VPN, but I still can't access Search Labs to test this. What can I do in the meantime? If you've used a VPN, you may have used your company Google account. You need to use an individual account. And then if you still can't access Search Labs, then you may need to go incognito, but signed in on Google Chrome. Hopefully that helps. Can you track the clicks and referrals from SG citations in GA or GSC or wherever? They don't break it out specifically yet, but you can see the referral link includes that hash. So there is a way of doing it, but I think that once Google rolls this out, it's going to be much cleaner because at the moment it's quite a bit of work to do that. Nicholas Sawarna asks, are FAQs still relevant with AI? How should we structure content to compete with AI? Very good question. FAQs are still relevant, yes. What we're noticing with SG at the moment is that it tends to favor highly specific content rather than, like the ultimate guide type content. That stuff can work, but really what it seems to be rewarding at the moment is very narrowly focused content over sort of very big picture, covering loads of FAQs. So that's one sort of route that we're taking, is to actually break out longer pieces of content into smaller ones. That's how it's working at the moment. Rena asks, in your view, does SG mean that there is now little value in trying to reach the lower positions on Google page 1, and it's better to focus most efforts on position 1 or 2? In effect, focusing on lower search volume keywords where you can reach the top. Great question, Rena. Of course, you're always trying to reach the top positions on any search term that you're targeting. But we do think that SG is going to change user behavior, because we are all basically trained to use Google search in a very Boolean way, right? If you want the best iPhone for someone who likes to take lots of pictures of landscapes, what you probably search for is best iPhone landscape photography. That's not a plain English search term. That's not a plain language search term. We've learned how to search in keywords, and SGE offers us the ability to not search in keywords anymore, but to actually search in natural language. So I think that what we'll start to see is longer tail search terms becoming more popular anyway, as people realize that they don't have to sort of tailor their search for SGE. So I expect that the winners will be the businesses that are able to answer loads of these longer tail searches with very, very high relevance. Nicholas again asks, how do we prevent Google from plagiarizing your content? This is a good question. I'm actually going to touch on the topic I spoke a little bit about earlier. So this is Google's official stance, right, is that SGE, their large language model, answers the query, and then SGE finds websites that support or corroborate the answer. Okay, and they're very careful. They don't say references. They don't say website citations. Bing says website references. Google doesn't say. You will never find a Google employee saying that SGE references websites. They always say websites that corroborate or support the answer. Now, I think that we've proved that is demonstrably false. The fact that we were able to manipulate the answer that SGE gives with a single blog post on a low authority website, and Google then took that answer and rewrote it, shows us that Google is not writing this answer with this AI at all. It is basically summarizing the information given on the reference or source websites. This might seem like a small thing, but I don't think it is. This is, from a legal perspective, this is a huge headache for Google, right? Because if I'm a publisher and I make all of my money from selling ads on my magazine or my news site, and all of a sudden Google is scraping my content, rewriting it, and sharing it basically as its own, and then saying, oh, by the way, if you want to find another website that kind of agrees with us, go over here. That's not the relationship. Google is taking that website, that information from that website. So I think the publishers are going to kick off about this, and there'll probably be lawsuits. So I think this is one to watch. The question, how do we prevent Google from plagiarizing our content? Honestly, I'm not even sure I would be asking that question. I think Google is going to do this anyway. This is like asking, how can we stop ourselves from being, how can we stop Google from scraping our content and showing it in featured snippets? Everyone was scared of featured snippets when they came out. It turned out the featured snippets were great news for traffic. So I think you actually want Google scraping your content. As bad as it sounds, you've either got the choice of Google scraping your content and showing your website, or scraping your competitors' content and showing their website. I know which one I'd choose in that option. Rena asks, do you think SG overviews will appear for all sectors and queries eventually? Yes. And Google has pretty much said that's what they think as well. So I think we'll start to see, if you search for best backpacks for kids, for example, you'll get a list of products you can click through and you can buy the product. So I think this is the direction that Google search is going. Krista says, will Google be forcing searchers to use this, or will searchers have a choice? So at the moment, searchers have a choice. They can, when an SG answer appears, they can click to search more. But there are some searches where you can click to generate an SG answer in the first place. And I suspect Google is using the user behavior here to analyze what type of searches users find SG answers most useful for. So I think there will be a choice for a period of time until the SG answers are consistently winning, and then I think Google will just use them by default. Nicholas says, does this mean we'll get buried by people with larger ad budgets? No, actually, because you can piggyback websites that have, much more authority. I've shown some examples today, very, very high authority sites, featured snippets. You can just piggyback them. Even if you're a smaller site, if you just create more tailored, highly specialist content, actually you can win. So I think this is a real land grab opportunity for smaller websites to steal back some visibility. Connor says, do you have any insights into how this is going to impact news and journalism? Yeah, kind of what I've already said, Connor, but I think journalists are going to be really, really upset with this. I know Google's having to make some deals with news publishers in, I think, Canada and maybe Australia as well. I think we're going to see more of that type of thing, if I'm honest. Okay, will news and journalism be treated differently than consumer or other information? That's a very, very good question, Connor. I'm not sure. There is definitely, SG is very responsive. It seems to be more responsive than regular organic search in that, you can get information very, very quickly put into SG. So whether there's some sort of recency thing there, I think we'll also see high authority sources get more prominence than they are at the moment, which is going to be very important for things like misinformation as well. Charles says, doesn't Google make its money through the promotion of sites? Doesn't this impact their revenue? How does this change PPC? We'll see a PPC offering that works with SGE. Google has already said that. We're just waiting to see exactly what that is. And I think they're testing it at the moment. Okay, how's Google going to benefit from this as they sell data to people like you? With this, how do they earn revenue? Google benefits by keeping people on Google, okay? So if people start searching on ChatGPT, which they already do, Google loses. So Google is better to compete with itself, even if it costs them money to deliver each search, than it is to lose people long-term to ChatGPT. So I see this as Google saying, right, forget it. We're going to go all in with AI, generative AI. We're going to burn our boats. We think that this is the future. So we'll figure out how to monetize it later, but we have to keep people on Google. I think that's their business model here. Nicholas says, will Google favor those who embed SG's LLM into their apps over OpenAI? I don't think so. Shola says, how do you rank for food-related questions? I offer East Asian ready meals, and most of the rankings are well-known recipes and content creators. Yes, it's the same thing as before, though, Shola. Just because your competitors are ranking well now doesn't mean they'll necessarily rank well in SGE. I think in recipes in particular, if you search for something like, I don't know what a typical search term would be for you, but if I search for something like, I don't know, banana pancakes recipe, I start with, here's all the information about banana pancakes. And did you know that bananas come from these types of trees and pancakes have been around for you? Right? That's not the type of thing that SG likes. SG likes, here's a banana pancake recipe. 2 bananas, 3 eggs, whack it in a pan, off you go. So I think if you're optimizing your recipe content for SGE, I think you could steal some visibility back there. Okay, we've got some more questions. I'm going to run through these. How impactful will local SEO be in SGE? So SGE does show local search results. They tend to reflect fairly closely the regular local results, but there do seem to be some differences. We'll share more as we analyze these in more detail. We're running some tests ourselves at the moment, so follow the Exposure Ninja channel on YouTube if you're interested in that. John Spruill the second says, what role does backlink building play in ranking for SGE if it prioritizes relevancy over domain authority? Great question. I think the key here is we're noticing that if you're ranking in the first, say, 10, 15 positions on Google, which you need links usually in order to be able to do, then you've got a chance to compete with relevancy. Okay, so I'd say that try and be high authority as a sort of starting position. You want to be working from a good baseline and then attack with the high relevancy to target that SG ranking. So links are going to be great to get you in the game, and then the relevancy is going to be enough for you to target the SG results. Someone else says, is Semrush planning on incorporating SG results into their reporting suite? If so, is there an ETA on when that will roll out? I've asked them about this. I'm not entirely sure yet, but also Google hasn't rolled this out fully yet, so there probably isn't a huge amount of data either. So I would expect that they're going to build this in, but we'll probably need to wait until this is sort of live. Okay, have we got any more? Oh, there's loads. All right, there's probably another 50 questions. Okay, I think we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for all of the questions. If you have any further questions that I haven't answered, please do feel free to reach out. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Tim Cameron Kitchen, or you can drop me an email, tim@Exposure Ninja. Don't forget to go and request your free website and marketing review, which will include an SGE review from exposure.ninja/SGE. Go and get your free trial of Semrush from thankyouninjas.com. But thank you all for joining us. Until next time, see you soon.